What's going on, guys? ShadowNinja here, and today we got a Battlefield video talking about the next game, some leaks and things like that. Tom Henderson did some reporting of Insider Gaming and gave us some information last week. I said I wanted to cover it, and today we are covering it. Now, in this article, we got some stuff regarding setting, multiplayer stuff, battle royale, even some destruction mentioned, and everything honestly is lining up in a way where people might feel some hope. Now, time will tell, of course, and with some of the leaks and reporting from Tom Henderson in the past, specifically on Battlefield 2042, things may be scrapped altogether by the time the game launches. So, again, take everything with a grain of salt. We'll be talking about the things from his latest report on the game. A link to that will be posted in the description and pinned comment if you guys want to read it for yourself. But before we go anywhere, just want to mention if you guys enjoyed the content, please consider hitting that subscribe button and bell to be notified when I do drop more stuff. But yeah, let's jump in and talk about this information. So first up, the setting. Vincent Pella let it out the bag in that IGN article that we're going to be returning to the modern setting. Now, in the case of this report, that is mostly correct. It seems that the year this game will take place is in between 2027 and 2030. So not exactly present day modern, but usually anytime a shooter does do this quote unquote modern setting, it's 2 to 5 years in the future, which I think is perfectly fine. Now, what does that mean for the single player? Well, it's good to know that we do have single player. Vincent Pilla mentioned that. The Investors Day just broke it down, and we got some information on the narrative going on there. So the campaign will focus in on a massive PMC group or private military group going up against NATO. Now, personally, I just think that this is going to be a little spin on the Russians. Reason for that is politically, NATO grew in size and purpose as a check on the Soviets during the Cold War. And yes, their military alliance still exists to this day with operations occurring in many places all over the world, not tied against Russia or the Soviets. But I could be wrong. And it truly is just a PMC group, massive, but it wouldn't shock me if it was just that stand-in for the Russians, and EA and DICE don't want to use an actual military force due to the real world conflicts over there in Ukraine. But again, that's just me speculating. Again, it could be just a big, massive PMC group from South America or Africa, whatever it may be. But that's just my kind of assumption of what's going on. Expect Russian military stuff, but not really called Russians. Now, with the locations of this conflict, it is said to be worldwide, and in the concept art for the article, or at least in the article states that the concept art we first saw was Gibraltar, a British territory. I definitely mispronounced that name, but basically I think it's the same from the Apex legend, but yeah. Now, this location is regionally on the south side of Spain. It is near the exit of the Mediterranean, so that makes sense on a global geographical conflict side. Pretty cool, pretty beautiful, and exciting to see what turns out there. Let's see how the level design goes for this one. Now, another location mentioned is a tropical location that is the territory of the United States. This is also the rumored location for the free-to-play Battle Royale, and honestly, that really got me going of trying to take a guess of where this could be. And personally, if I was to make that guess, I would say it is Guam, and I think that is the safest bet. Now, this is located in the Pacific. It could make for a great map. It also lines up with Vincent Pella mentioning 1942 as part of the inspiration of a great time in Battlefield. So if you look at Guam and you look at, pictures from 1942, it makes sense that this could be the Battle Royale map. It's in an island, secluded. It just makes sense. But wrapping up that part of the article, let's talk about multiplayer. So thankfully, we got the number or amount of weapons they're aiming for at launch. That is 45 different weapons. Now, the fun fact, as this article stated, this is double of what 2042 offered at launch, which is insane because holy hell, it just solidifies and reminds me of how devastating that launch of 2042 was. Wow. But now back on topic, I think this is great. Hopefully it comes into fruition because, my God, does this need to be the bare minimum? Anything less than 40, in my opinion, I say is going to be a massive letdown. So hopefully this number of 45 stands true. Another number we got was the map count, and I do think that this is an interesting conversation because it could be spinned in many different ways. So the goal here is going to be around 10 maps at launch. Now, this does put it in the range of Battlefield 1, Battlefield 3, and Battlefield 4, for example. So I guess you could say that could be a good map count, but I don't know. I do think this number will be fine if post-launch support delivers in a big way, and that means 2 to 3 maps per season because, again, I've talked about this before when it comes to the post content or post launch support for Battlefield. It's just wild that something like Battlefield 4 offered more maps and content in a year and a half with its DLC updates than any live service Battlefield has offered. It's disgusting. It is a shame, and it shouldn't be the case. We should be coming out tons of maps. You know, they've honed in on 64 players and things like that. Hopefully there's familiarity. They have goals and templates and a proper production pipeline to really make these things. But I don't know. Let's see how things go in terms of the overall post-content support. But yeah, I do think seeing a massive improvement in post-content support would be massive for this game, specifically with the map content stuff. But destruction was another thing mentioned. Now, personally, I think this is a long-forgotten feature somehow to this franchise, but it is apparently, based on the report and leaks, seeing a significant overhaul. Now, no confirmation, like they say in the article, or Tom Henderson says on Levolution. That's something you could see potentially coming back, but tons of sources apparently stated caliber-based destruction, like Rainbow Six Siege, for example. This is interesting because on a technical level, this would be a technical leap for the Frostbite engine. Let's see how things hold true. The closest we got to caliber-based destruction to a significant scale was the CQC DLC for Battlefield 3. There was a lot of great stuff there. But again, let's see how things go. This is a different era, different complications, different Frostbite engine. It could be better, it could be worse. Who knows, because we haven't seen destruction in Battlefield lately, but should be intriguing. Let's see how things go. The next part is on the movement, and I'm just going to quote it because it is kind of hard to explain or break down without the full context, but it is also understood that the game will see some changes to movement. With one example given by multiple sources, the ability to pick up and move down players. While this has almost certainly been incorporated for the Battle Royale experience, it's been implied that this is all of the changes and is a part of the team's Battlefield Moments initiative to bring back the moments that made Battlefield, well, Battlefield. So again, that quote is intriguing. I don't really know what to say from any of that, because again, they're seeing overhauls, but then it says this is the only change, and then other stuff, Battlefield Moments. A little bit convoluted in the article. I wish we get more clarity in the future, but I hope this means that the fluidity of the movement, gunplay is kind of Battlefield 3 and 4. Some people may say that's outdated, but I did like how Battlefield at that time had a certain feel, whereas 2042 just kind of reeks of a wannabe Call of Duty with slide cancel. Again, I could be wrong, and maybe people that don't like Battlefield 2042 actually like the movement. I don't know, but let's see how things play out. And on to the final part worth mentioning of this article would be the large-scale community testing that was mentioned in both, I guess you could say, the Investors Day and I think Vince Zampella in the IGN article. Seems to be kind of what I stated about it. The return of Battlefield Community Test Environment, or CTE, we saw in like Battlefield 4 and Battlefield 1. Doesn't seem that they're going to be like a massive pre-alpha stage as some people may have been implying. It seems that there's going to be the CTE for Battlefield tied into this game for updates and testing and things like that, which I think is great news. Again, Battlefield 4 really benefited from the community test environment, and I do think more games need to do that. But in general, that's pretty much the information and news on the latest and greatest of Battlefield information. Again, some of the stuff is lining up good. Excited to see how things turn out. Again, my anticipation and excitement levels, I won't let them get the best of me this time, but let's wait and see how things go. But if you guys enjoy the content, want more, be sure to hit that like, helps out the video a ton, and hit that subscribe button and bell to be notified when I do drop more content. But besides that, hope you guys have a good one. ShadowNinja here, and I'm out.